This is Soph,
This is Rich.
and we are from
Probably,
across
but
the pond.
on. Ooh.
Woo! How was your weekend?
First and foremost, happy Father's Day.
Oh, why, thank you. Thank you very much. It
Yes,
is.
Fathering Sunday. I'd like to say happy Father's Day to my father and any other fathers that make
Father's Day
effort.
to my father.
I'd like to, yes, happy Father's Day, Father Payne. I would like to say happy Father's Day to all the dads that are active, that make an effort, that want to be in their kids' life. No bums, no one that shirk their responsibilities. The dads that are trying to change the narrative.
And also, can we say happy Father's Day to men who are looked up to as fathers?
Yes, you may.
Yes,
You know
yes, because
what?
there's
Because
a lot of boyfriends out there, and there's a lot of stepdads out there.
exactly. And when I say fathers, I don't mean sperm donors, i.e., people who helped procreate a child and bring it into the world. Somebody who stepped up to the job.
You go. Sounds a little passionate right there.
You know, it takes a serious person, not just a man. Obviously, we're saying men today because it's Father's Day, but it takes a seriously tough person to raise a child that is not theirs. Like I have been a stepmom at one point, and I find it more difficult than being an actual parent because
I've been a stepfather as well, and I tell you, it is. It's a special thing. You got to.
because the responsibility's there, but I do feel like there's fine lines as regards to, you know, well, I don't know. Anyway, that's a different subject. We talked about it before, but yes. Men who stepped up, happy Father's Day.
Why, thank you. Why, thank you. I just want to thank me.
Huh?
I said I'm still in Snoop's little saying. I just want to thank me.
Yeah, right.
Thank me.
That's a Snoop Dogg speech for anybody who ain't a Snoop Dogg fan. Everybody's probably thinking, what are you on about? But anyway, how was my weekend? It was good. I spent it with Alfie. We went to the shops. We went to Smith's Toy Superstore, which made his absolute year. Like it's a massive toy store. We've done food shopping. We've done cars. You know, the usual mother-son weekend shenanigans. The fact that he's still getting up at 3:30 in the morning every day. Come on, son. Look at these.
All I'm going to say is it is blazing hot here. Whoo! It's blazing hot here. I can't help it.
Sorry, next subject.
We're supposed to get some type of thunderstorm tonight, but I don't know if that's going to actually happen.
Well, it's been raining here. Our sun has gone for the time being.
Yeah.
Unpredictable English weather. What have you done the weekend?
Absolutely nothing.
All right.
I like it that way.
Go on with your bad self.
Chill, watch some movies, and watch some series. You know me, catching up on my whole TV vibe, movie
priorities. Let's just dive straight in. We haven't done a series.
Can we? Serious Sunday. The topic is friendship. What's the difference?
I was just about to say, request a rewind, but we haven't done a serious Sunday for some time. I've had Sunday shows, but they've just been with guests about their said topic. So there's no serious Sunday being had for a while, but you are correct. It is about friendship. What's the difference between friends, associates, work colleagues? Acquaintances, exactly. What do you think?
Play cousins.
Faking it till you make it, fake friends.
Fake friends. Social media friends.
This is a bit. This topic has got so many avenues. I'm like, whoa, where do we start?
It's open up to an umbrella of different avenues. My thing with friendship, I think friendship to me is loyalty. Loyalty first and foremost. Loyalty.
I hear that, and time has got nothing to do with it. Somebody can have your back that you've known a month more than somebody who's known you 10 years. So how long you've known somebody not necessarily got anything to do with it. It's all about character. Now, I'm just going to pause that there because I'm going to say, do you remember when you was at school and you had all your friends, your chums, and you were like, man, we're going to be friends forever. We're going to work here. We're going to go here. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. How many people are you still friends with that you was friends with at school?
I would say a handful. I wouldn't say like everybody, but I would say a handful.
Okay, but are
I
they
have
genuine friends or are they just associates, people you know?
no. I'm talking about genuinely. I have genuine friendships with maybe I can count on one hand amount of friends that I've actually literally grew up with or went to school with. Now that I'm back in my hometown, so there's about a handful of them that I can consider besties
Yeah.
for life. Now, my military friends, I have maybe 2 or 3, but I have so many different associates. Being in the military, you meet people from all over the world. So Facebook and Instagram has, brought those people back into my circle.
Okay, what do you class as an associate? Because me, I class an associate is I know who you are, and if I see you in the street, I say, hi, how you doing? You are not my friend. I know you and I know who you are, but we're not
But
friends.
would you call that an acquaintance or
Acquaintance,
associate?
associate, aren't they the same thing?
I don't know.
Well,
That's what
I
I'm
don't
saying.
know.
I don't know. Associates to me is like somebody like you socialize with, but not like on a like personal level.
So
Like say like a coworker.
So you're saying in the food chain, an associate is higher up than somebody you know.
Acquaintance.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah. Acquaintance is somebody that like but you don't really fool with. Like you see them in passing and you know who they are.
Okay,
like you said, you know who they are, but you see them in passing and you really don't fool with them, but you know who they are. Associates to me is like somebody that you mess with, but like don't really socialize with them outside. Like say if I
isn't
isn't
that a work colleague then? So you only discuss things and talk to them while you're in work, but when you're outside of work, you don't socialize or mix business with pleasure, personal things and that.
Well, my line of work, we talk about everything. It's just it's just a shit session. So it's just like we just talk about everyday thing. But if I were to see them outside of work, I'd probably be like, hey, what's up? But that would probably be it.
So are they work colleagues or are they associates, or is that the same thing?
I think it's the same thing.
Okay. What was the other one you said?
Call?
Work colleagues, associates. What was the other one? Acquaintance.
Acquaintance.
I'm just going to write that down. Maybe acquaintance is just a posh way of saying associate. Who knows?
I guess.
It's people's perception, like a lot of things. But do you know what? Let's just go to the social media friends for a minute, right? Because if you go onto my social media, it says I have nearly 1,000 followers stroke friends on one, 800 on another. Are they my friends? I don't think so. I don't think they should term it friends, like Facebook friends. I think they should give it a different name, because the fact of the matter is you can make friends with somebody on social media that you used to go to school with, but you don't speak to anymore, and never have any interaction with them whatsoever. They won't like anything. They won't comment on anything. They just there to be nosy, like binoculars at the window. That's all they've come to do, spy. Because I tell you for a fact, there was one girl who I haven't seen since school. She added me as a friend. So I was like, oh yeah, I know her, so we didn't, let's be fair, at school we didn't really speak, but I know who you are. So I accepted, followed her back. Now, do you know, a couple of weeks later, I walked past her in town. She looked me square in the eye, never said a word, looked the opposite way and walked off. And I was like,
wow.
Now hold on a second. She's obviously one of these people that A, just wants to be nosy, and B, wants to get her numbers up on social media because it's obviously a, tick box for her. So I went straight home, unfollow, delete, no thank you. I ain't about that life.
Me personally, I don't really put too much on Facebook, so I really don't care. if people are looking or not, because I really don't put too much I'm like you know me for a fact. I'm kind of private with certain things, so I put stuff on social media that I want to put on, that I don't mind if someone's being nosy and wants to see what's going
I don't
on.
mind if someone's being nosy either, knock yourself out, but don't then walk past me in the street and blank me like you didn't just ask me to be your friend. You know, like I've had conversations with the dude, you know, like obviously because we went to school together. My nose is itchy, by the way. Sorry, it's hay fever. Not corona. And we'll be talking about Facebook and she'll be like, oh my God, did you see what such and such put on? And I'll be like, I don't follow them. And she's like, why? We went to school together. And I'm like, I don't care. They didn't speak to me at school. Why am I going to speak to them now? You know, it's almost like it's not genuine. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I look at social media as, keeping up with certain people that you're not going to see on a regular basis. That's how I look at it.
Yes. I love social media. I'm going to write that down. We need a topic just on social media because this is a big can of worms. But I love social media for the fact that you can keep in contact with people that are like you, that are not near you, that you don't see all the time. So without having to call them or message them separately, you can address everybody in one go. Oh, look, blah, blah, blah,
Yeah.
Alfie just took his first steps, or his tooth fell out, or da 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 da. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Because you could put something on Facebook or Instagram and you might get maybe 15 people who have actually seen it out of like the thousand of people that
But
are your
that's
friends.
how algorithms work with social media. So that's why we need another show about that. Because obviously, you know me, I run social media accounts, so I know how these bad boys work. But
so, what do you consider a friend? See, I consider a friend loyal.
yes, but also somebody that you like, a genuine somebody that you not necessarily speak to on a regular, because you can have those friends where you don't speak to for weeks, months at a time, but when you speak to each other, it's like you never left each other. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
You
I
pick
have
right back
a
up where you
dozen
left
friends
off.
like that.
Mm-hmm.
I have a dozen friends like that. I can name. S is one of them. You know who Esther is. Me and her have been friends for years.
A1 from day one, we know.
Yes, and I kid you not, I can call her up today and it'd be like there was never a time lapse right there. It's just our conversation starts where it left off the last time we seen each other. And that could be months from now. I have a best friend.
Yeah.
Childhood. His name is Mark Strom. Me and him have been ace boom coon since day one. And I tell you right now, we don't, and the thing about me and him is that our lifestyles have always been different, and we always seem to, as soon as we see each other, we talk, and it's like time has never left us, and then I won't see him or talk to him for like months.
See, I think you can have best friends who are your genuine, die-hard, go to, they can come to you, you can go to them, there's no judgment, whatever. You you can either speak all day, every day, or like we just said, you don't speak for a while and you pick up exactly where you left off. Genuine best friends.
And also, you can tell them your deepest, darkest secrets, and they take it to the grave with them.
Exactly.
And they don't put you on blast. They don't judge you.
Mm-hmm.
They just be like, dang, bro, or yeah.
So then after your best friends, you've got just your friends where you know them, you just know the bare basics about them, what they do for a job, husband, kids, whatever. You might go for a beer, but it's just mundane chit chat, shit chat, if you know what I mean. Then obviously you've got your work colleagues and your associates or acquaintances, whatever you want to call them.
Now, do you have a clique of friends? See, I got a clique.
Clique, or
what I mean by a clique, like a group of friends, like we all hang out. Like I have
you see
5 good buddies. We just Saturday we just had you just asked me what I did. Saturday we had a Father's Day cookout that one of my good friends does every Father's Day, and because of the pandemic we didn't do it this year. He did his thing. Spread, everybody, it was like a BYOB. It was a lovely spread. And those friends right there, it's like they are like my core friends. Like they are the ones like we go
Excuse
over
me.
each other's houses, we talk important stuff, like we feed off each other. Like
See,
it's
I'm
a
totally jealous
group.
about that. Totally jealous because I was a die-hard number one Sex in the City fan. You know, four chicks, tight as anything, had each other's back, blah blah blah. I have four besties, right? And then my good friends, none of which interlinked whatsoever. And like I've got friend, but no friend group like that. Like there's the dude, and then there's Fiona, and then there's Roy, and then there's Doug, and then there's old work friends, and there's but none ever cross paths whatsoever. The
Yeah,
only way they would cross paths is if someday maybe I had a birthday party or a wedding or whatever, you know, a big event, and everyone would come to. But yeah, it's weird. They don't cross paths. I just
yeah.
spread
Like
myself out.
we have this core dynamic that like we all get along and like we all socialize together. And it's weird because we could rap with one another individually.
Mm-hmm.
Like I could go over my boy Eric's house, he can come over to my house, and sometimes it'd be Eric and Cornell, they'll hang out, and then sometimes it'd be me, Eric and Cornell, or it'd be me, Ron, Eric, Cornell. It's just like, and then and then it's like individual, and we got like this group text where somebody could need something and just be like, "Yo, anybody got a chainsaw?" And then he'd be like, "Yo, I got one in my garage. You can come scoop it up later." It's just a cool dynamic of
See,
friends that we
I'm
have.
totally jelly about that. But if we're
I'm
talking
jelly about it.
if we're talking about food chains,
I can't put this drink down.
what
This
is it?
drink is so good. It's sun-kissed strawberry lemonade. I can't put it down.
Flat
It's like a,
lemonade?
huh?
Flat lemonade?
No, it is not flat. It's got fizz.
Whoa.
It is really delicious.
Okay, so back to friends. So Michaela is obviously my A1 from day one. You know,
Yeah, yeah,
we've been best friends since I was about 4. So that's what, 35, nearly 36 years. And you know what? I never even realized we'd been friends that long until we got talking in secondary school because first and middle school we went to different schools. But when I remember going to her house when we were at secondary school thinking, this is deja vu, man. I've been here before. Well, it turned out her neighbour, Maureen, had been my mum's best friend and they used to work together. So when we were younger,
yeah.
my mum would drop us off at Michaela's because Michaela's mum was a single mum as well with 2 girls. Well, yeah, 2 girls at the time. I don't know if Crystal was born yet. So she would drop me and my sister off. So my mum and Maureen could go to work. Michaela's mum would look after me and my sister. Like she'd make homemade Play-Doh with flour and stuff. That's all I remember. Um, and I was like, oh my God, I just couldn't believe it. So yeah, we've been best friends for I don't know how long. But the funny thing is, we talk every day, right? And we even used to work together. When I worked at this old place called Morelli's, I got Michaela a job there. This is no word of a lie. We would spend all day together in the office. And then when we got home, we'd call each other and spend all evening on the phone. And my mum would
Oh,
say, the hell have you got to talk about? And we'd be like, just stuff, just stuff. And even now, she says, if people could hear our conversations, dude, and I'm like, I know, right? Like, we just say it's chit chat, shit chat. We don't even know what we talked about. It's just stuff.
yeah. Funny that you say that. My son, he, he does that now. Like he'll hang with. I don't know if he still does it, but he has his little clique of friends. And I kid you not, they used to be over here all day, and then they'll go home, and then they'll have this whole party line and be playing video games, and they're all on the same. Just I was like, didn't you just see these dudes? Like he's like, but Dad, we're playing this, we're doing this, we're doing that. I was like, I don't know, maybe it's my showing my age. But then I reach and then I go back to when I was a teenager. We really didn't we normally hung out outside. So it was like a group of us that like hung out.
Hmm.
Like we didn't like play video games and stuff like that. We went like fishing or we went to like the fairs and stuff like that and try to hit on girls and stuff like that, skating ring and all that good stuff. Go to the football games.
See
and
now,
all
then
that good stuff.
one of my other besties, Fiona. It's weird because we literally have got nothing in common. We don't like the same music. We don't have the same taste in guys. We don't like the same like food. It's really, we don't like the same taste in music. Nothing, but we get on like you wouldn't believe, and still talk about rubbish. Anyway,
Everything else, yeah.
there was a time a couple of years ago where she's, we was having a conversation and she said, "So, can I tell you something?" And I was like, "Yeah." She said, "Listen, I swear to God, I haven't told anyone else this." She said, "I just know." She said, "I haven't." She's like me. She's got like 3 or 4 like best friends. She was like, "You're the only one I can tell because I know you won't judge me." She said, "I can't even tell the others, so I'm just going to talk to you about it." I was like, "Yeah, sure, shoot." But I was like, "Oh my God, I'm like honored that you." I mean, there was
Didn't
no
you feel
judgment.
special?
Yeah,
Didn't you feel special?
yeah,
I like stuff like that.
yeah. But then
I'm
like,
telling you,
sorry.
friendships is crazy because, biblically they say a friend is stick closer to you than a brother, an actual brother. And
Mhm.
I'm gonna have to be on the fence with it because I have an older brother. I consider him my best friend because I can tell him, I can tell him just about anything. And me and him will laugh, and he always gives me halfway decent advice. You know what I mean? And we're just together. Like, now I come from a big family, so I got like multiple brothers, multiple sisters, but like my oldest, and he's the oldest of the clan. Me and him just click, and it was just He's more like a best friend than a brother to me because we be. I can call him up right now and just tell him some stuff, and he'd just be like, "Wow," and then he'll give me his straight with no
See now,
chaser.
Roy is my best friend, who's one of those ones where I could go weeks without speaking to, but as soon as we
Yeah.
speak, it's just like we never, haven't spoken. But you saying that about your brother, do you agree when people say when you're in a relationship and you're with your significant other, they become your best friend?
When you what? Say
When
that
when
again.
you're in a relationship, so you and your significant other, say you get married, you got a wife, she then becomes your best friend.
In a matter of speaking, I would say that's partially correct.
Even though there'd probably be things you wouldn't tell your wife that you tell the lads. Because really, a
Well,
best friend is somebody you tell anything and everything to, right?
yeah. Well, I mean, she's supposed to be your best friend. You're supposed to be her best friend. But is would I tell her everything? Probably not.
By the way, I'm not
Probably
trying to
not.
catch you out if your future wife is listening, by the way. I've just wondered what your opinion was because people do
No,
say
no,
that.
no. That I
Oh, my
mean,
wife's
to
my
me, I
best
don't
friend.
really look at it as I look at her as a wife. I don't look at her as I don't know if I would consider her a best friend. I would just consider her my wife. Like wife is just I think is a whole nother category.
Okay,
I
let's
think.
let's
But
really
they
get.
do say they some people do say that's their best friend. I
Oh,
don't
they
know.
said I married my best friend, my soulmate, my best friend.
Oh, I don't know. Hmm.
Okay, let's really get into it now, right? What about fake friends? Because there are people that will
Are you talking about
get
fronters?
fronters.
Yeah.
That's when people make out like they're your friend, but they either there's an ulterior motive. They're doing it to get something or gain something, or they're not genuine. Can
Yeah.
you normally scope those people out? Do you think?
Uh I have a good sense of judgment when it comes to certain friends and even family too. Um I think sometimes you don't really find out who they really are until something really happens.
I hear that, but if they're not genuine friends, I feel like eventually you will find out. It's like anything, the mask will eventually drop. They can kiss ass or whatever the term is as much as they want, but at some point they're going to slip up, and we will be
Yeah.
exposed.
Yeah.
And do
I
you know what?
agree.
Do you know what else I don't like? Not so much. not necessarily on the fake friends thing, but my brain's going off on one, is friends who are quick to give you advice on your situation and then do totally the opposite. Like, and you're like, hold on a minute, didn't you just tell me to do X, Y, and Z, and you're doing totally the opposite? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I just.
That's called two-faced.
Yeah, two-faced.
That's called being two-faced.
Yeah, I don't like two-faced people. And two-faced people, fake friends, yeah, they probably go hand in hand, to be fair.
Well, I hate when people claim to be your friend, but really ain't.
Mm-hmm.
Like they don't have your best interest in hand. They're just out to like throw salt on your name. You know what I mean?
Exactly. But then when they get caught out, or you call them out, they try and turn it around on you. What's all that about?
They're trying to make you feel guilty?
Yeah. What's all that about?
I don't know.
All I know is, at the grand old age of 39, right,
Mm-hmm.
I class myself, I have a lot of friends, associates, acquaintances, whatever you want to call them. I've got my handful of besties, right? And this is going to sound really harsh. You know me. I don't need any new friends, right? Like when Alfie started that school 4 years ago and none of the mums spoke because they're all in their clique. And people were like, oh man, what about this? And I said, I don't care. I didn't send him there to make friends. I don't need any new friends,
Yeah. Well, I look at it, I'm kind of, as I'm getting older, I'm kind of starting to be set in my own ways. So like, I kind of like the crew that I got. I mean,
Yeah.
So if I were to gain new friends, which I have, it's kind of hard for me not to like, yeah, so it's kind of hard for me not to think about like my old friends.
I know, but don't get it twisted. When I say I don't need any new friends, if someone was to come into my life and be genuine person and we hit it off or had a connection or got something in common, go forth, join the crowd, whatever. But am I going out searching for new friends? Nah.
No. Am I going out of my way to try to find a new buddy? No. But I think as you get older though, I think some people come into your life and some people leave your life as you mature and get older.
I hear that, but real genuine friends are in your life for a reason, not a season. Remember that.
For a reason,
not a season.
I like that.
Because I had people that I considered, okay, let's rewind 5-10 years. I had people that a person who I would class as one of my best friends, not heard a dicky bird good couple of years now. And I'm just like, do you know what? That happens in life sometimes. People take different paths. They have different focuses. Am I bitter about it? Nah. Would I like to know what happened? Maybe. But, it is what it is.
I remember when I was a kid, right? And this is my best friend. I felt some type of way when he got a girlfriend.
Because he'd be spending less time with you.
Because we were hanging out so much. When he got a girlfriend, this is when we started dating. I eventually got a girlfriend too. But it was like he got a girlfriend first. And I felt some type of way. I was like, dude, we're not going fishing, bro? He's like, nah, man, I'm going to movies with so-and-so. Like, for real, man? Like, we go fishing, bro.
Similar to that, I'll mention the dude, but I ain't going to name drop other than that. So me and the dude were tight. And then the dude had another like set of friends that she would hang with other than me. But me and that set of friends were never really friends. You know what I mean? I just knew who they were to say hi. But anyways, one particular girl in there, and sometimes she would join me and the dude. But when she did, there was always tension because she didn't like me because her mindset was, she's my friend, not yours. Wow. Why are you coming on me? And I'm just like, well, I'm not into that. So I just didn't ever get involved when they was together. I'm just like, whatever. But the thing is, we're nearly 40 and it's still a bit like that.
Yeah. I don't know what it is. I just feel like when you have new people come into the dynamic.
Some people's noses get put out of joint, right?
Huh? It just seems awkward. Like you don't know.
But that's because people's noses get out of joint because like you with your mate, they think that they're going to see less of their friend, or that you're going to get on better with them and they'll get pushed out. It's a jealousy thing, you know.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like I
But
said back
at,
then,
at the
I
end of
was
the
jealous.
day, if your friendship is genuine and real, then you wouldn't get pushed out of the way anyway. So what are you going to be jealous about somebody else for?
Yeah, and that's what I mean by like you say, genuine, like true friendships. Like me and him now, we hardly see each other. We may text each other once in a blue moon. His wife is on Facebook. They got a beautiful son, so I may comment because I don't really see him as much. So I may comment like he's handsome, he's getting big, yada yada yada, and she'll comment back or she'll like what I've said. And with him, it's like I'll text him like when fishing trout season comes, I'll text him, he'll text me back, and you know what I mean. And then when we see each other, it's like there was no time lost. We start the conversation where it left off at, and then we laugh and joke, and then he goes back to doing his fatherly duties, and I go back to running the street.
Running the street.
I consider that a true friend. Now I'm gonna tell you, I have a friend in California the same way. We shared fucking lives together because we was in Iraq. So he was my ace, Spook, my battle. We did everything together. And I remember there was a time we fell out and everybody was shocked. They were just like, no, not the dream team. They're like not speaking because we were like glued to each other's hip
Mm.
through the whole Iraq experience. And we both became NCOs. You know, he was in charge, I was in charge, and it just got to a point where like we kind of like bumped heads one day, and I mean, like we didn't speak, and people like noticed it. They were just like, "What? Y'all ain't y'all ain't speaking? What's going on?" And it wasn't like us because we were just too good of friends, and we're still friends to this day.
And you know, the funny thing is, me and the dude had a falling out once, and we didn't speak for a couple of years. And the same thing, like everyone was like, "Really, you haven't spoken to him?" I was like, "Nah," you know. And it's not that we were stubborn or anything like that. I mean, I'm not going to say what the argument was about because it's done now, but you know, you take things to heart. Do you know what I mean? But then when it came, we literally bumped into each other in the supermarket, like out of accident. That's how we got back talking again. Um, and I remember she came up to me and she was like, "Hi." I said, "All right." And she was like, "Oh, I didn't know if you'd speak to me or not." I said, "Why wouldn't I not speak to you? I'm not a bitch, you know." And then it just went from there. Let's go for coffee. We went for coffee there and then, left our shopping, went for coffee, and then it just carried on again. But this other friend I did have, we were like best friends, tight and everything as well. Um, and the one who I haven't spoke to for a couple of years, we never even had a falling out. She just stopped speaking to me. And when I've obviously spoken to the dude about it, and I said to her, you know, the funny thing is, the reason me and this other person have never had an argument is because it's her way or no way. That's how the friendship was. Do you know what I mean? And I knew what her reply would be if ever I said anything or picked her up on something. So I just didn't bother because it wasn't worth the aggro. Do you know what I mean? So this is why me and the other friend, after all the, because she used to, I remember when me and the dude fell out, she used to be like, "Well, me and you have never fallen out. So obviously you two weren't that good of friends." And you know, you're just like, and I just think the reason that me and this other chick never had a disagreement is because I never I was never totally honest with her when I didn't agree with her because I couldn't be doing with the argument or confrontation. Do you know what I mean?
Hmm. Let me
So,
ask you a question.
oh Lord,
Have you ever had a best friend, then y'all had a fallout, and then y'all never spoke again?
no.
I had a situation like that because it was three of us that grew up together. I ain't gonna say the guy's name, but if people gonna know what I'm talking about. It's three of us. We were like the three amigos, me, my bestie, and him. And we were friends for years. I'm talking about years. And it just come to a lot of people's attention and as well as mine is that like every time we would get around each other, he'd always felt the need to like one up me.
Oh, I hate people like that.
And it was like if I ran a mile, he ran 2 miles.
Oh.
If I ran a mile in 5 minutes, he ran a mile in 4 minutes.
If you
Like
if you
he,
broke one bone, he broke 10. Yeah, I know people like
yeah.
that.
And at first, I never really paid it any mind. Like people would go, "Dang, bro! Like, why are you still hanging with him? Like, this, that, and the third." And me being loyal, I was just like, "That's just him. Like, that's just who he is." You know what I mean? Like, you gotta take the bitter with the sweet sometimes. He's still my boy. Like, I'm gonna ride for him. And then the fallout happened, right? And then a lot of the stuff that he was doing just kind of just got old. Like we were getting older, and I just kept getting tired of like hearing the one ups and he does this better thing when it shouldn't be. When you're a best friend, it shouldn't be that way.
Mm-mm.
You are who you are. I am who I am. I'm not trying to change you, nor am I trying to one up you. I'm trying to support you. You know what I mean? Like,
Mhm.
I got your back. Like, I ain't gonna let nobody hurt you. I got you 100. That's how we were. Like, I had his back. He would call me in the middle of the night, need a ride. I'd just be like, all right, cool. You know what I mean? And vice versa. I was down on my luck. He gave me a couple dollars. Boom. I was like, with no questions asked. And that's what I consider a friend. But when we fell out hard. I mean, we fell out hard to where, like, I feel like when it comes to where it almost gets physical, then we can't be friends.
Nah,
That's how I looked at it. I looked at it to where, like, it almost became
because you
physical.
crossed the line.
Exactly. And I felt like he crossed the line between brotherhood and friendship.
Mm.
And this is the thing. I tried like years now. I've tried like to reach it back out to him, but then it's just the same old stuff. Like he had a family member pass away. I called him and was like, "Hey man, sorry about your loss." He's more worried about who gave me the information instead of just going, "Thanks, bro. Hey, how you been?" You know what I mean? And I was like, "Wow." And then like his son and my son, just like you said earlier, when you have friends and y'all just tight to no end, and I thought for sure we were gonna be friends. Then I had a kid, then he had a kid, and they were both boys, and we was going to say, well, if all of us had kids, we were going to make them best friends.
Mm-hmm.
So that it's just going to carry on. So I got a picture of him and my son, same age, when they were like little. Something happened with his son, and I was really concerned because I love the little boy. I love the boy. He's a young man now, and I was just like, man, how's your son? You know what I mean? And again, he it was just one of those dynamics where I just see now that we just cannot be friends again. You ever have something similar to that?
No, but I have had somebody who was a real dear friend, and I've really wanted to get in touch with him since, like, when we was younger. I went camping a couple of times with my uncle Fester when he had his first wife. She had a daughter. We used to go camping in the summer. Well, can't stand camping, but anyway, we made friends with this other family. This guy was same age as me, called Stephen. He was, as we got older, it turns out he was gay. But anyway, we used to be pen pals because, obviously back in the ancient times, you could only contact each other by pen and paper. Like, we used the landline to call each other when our mums allowed us 5 minutes, but it was expensive. So anyway, I went to stay at his and he went to stay at mine once. God, we must have been like early teens at this point. He was definitely gay because he knew every dance move to Eternal songs like you wouldn't believe, in an inch of their life. He taught me all the dance routines. It was great. But then when I had my first serious relationship from the age of 15 to 20, right, which was a violent relationship. But anyway, long story short, when I must have been about 17, the landline rung at the flat and I answered it. And I hadn't spoke to him for 2 years because I'm all swept up in love's young dream. Do you know what I mean? So the house phone rung in our flat and I answered. He was like, oh my God, Dave, it's Stephen, do you remember me? And I was like, oh my God, hi, you know, had a tiny little conversation. In that matey's cutting me some shade over there. So I ended the call. When I got off the phone, he was like, who was that? Explained to him, you need to call him back. So he said, A, where did you get this number from? I said, oh, my mum gave it him. You know, like he found my old home phone number, rung it. My mum gave him the number. First of all, you need to phone him back, tell him you'll never speak to him ever again. And then you need to call your mum back and tell her don't ever give my effing number out to anybody again. I had to call him back and say, please don't ever call me again. You know, I can't speak to you. We can't be friends. I then had to call my mum and say, why did you give him my number? Like, my mum never knew any of the stuff was going on behind closed doors while I was in that relationship. So I don't blame her one iota. But to this day, I always think about Stephen Swift, who lived in Hastings. We went to Hastings together on a day trip to the beach. And I think, wow, I wonder what he's doing. You know, like, we had such a laugh.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Now, I've had female friends like that. I've had female friends that stopped being friends with me because of their boyfriends or baby daddies and stuff. And I remember one of my good friends, we're still friends to this day. I had moved back here, and I'll never forget, I got an apartment and everything, and we ran into each other. It was like, yo, she's like, oh my God, my boy is back. Gave a hug. She came over to my crib. We had a great time. Yo, I'll never forget it. She bought me my first, like, set of groceries. Like, I didn't have nothing in the refrigerator. She was just like, come on, we went grocery shopping. And then all of a sudden, we just stopped talking. And I was just like, what's going on? You know what I mean? I was just like, hey, is everything all right? You know what I mean? She was like, well, such and such doesn't really like me talking to you. Yeah, he thinks there's a thing going on. I'm like, there is no thing. Like, he can call me. Like, I'll tell him, you know what I mean? Like, you're like my sister, you know? And then, like, we didn't talk at all. Like, we would see each other in passing. And that was it. And it broke my heart because I was just like, yo, we was tight as two thieves. And then all of a sudden, a couple years go by, we run into each other. She's no longer with so and so.
So now you can be friends.
And then she apologized to me. She's like, you know, I'm sorry I had to do that. You know, I don't know why I did that. You know, things happen. You know what I mean? Sometimes relationships are like that.
It's a jealousy thing on the other person's part. I totally 10,000% believe the opposite sex can be friends with nothing else. Like me and Roy, we are like tight and shit, as you'd say. Like, we've been on trips, like, and stayed overnight. You know, nothing has ever happened, right? He doesn't look at me like that. I don't look at him like that. I look at him like he's my brother, right? You know, I went to his wedding. He, like, his Uncle Roy to Alfie, you know.
Yeah.
Never anything like that. And if I had a pound for the amount of times people said, what, nothing's ever happened between you two? What, you've never even kissed? Oh, I don't believe you. Don't believe me then. I really couldn't give a shiny shite. But nothing has ever happened and will ever happen because I don't look at him like that. He don't look at me. He ain't my type. We just genuinely best buds.
And like, I can tell her anything and everything, and I kid you not, I love my female friends to death because all of them, I look at them and, like, I'm happy for them when they had their kids. I'm happy for them when they got in their relationships, all that good jazz.
Do you know what? I genuinely think everybody needs at least one best friend of the opposite sex, because when it comes to especially matters of the heart, you know, like, I would go to the dude and ask her advice, but sometimes I want to get the perspective from a man's point of view. Do you know what I mean? Just in case I'm totally blowing it out of proportion, or, you know, I'm not blowing out of proportion, and they would agree with you even from a man's point of view. Do you know what I mean? It's healthy, I think, to have a best friend of the opposite sex.
Yeah, because people think, I don't know why people think that because you're a male and you got female friends, you got to have sexed them up before. Or you had to be, like, in a relationship with them.
Or something's got to have happened.
Or something, or, oh yeah, right, y'all. y'all hooked up one time before. It
Yeah.
don't have
You
to
mean
be
you
that way.
two went to Manchester on a night out and nothing happened? Nah, we
Yeah,
got drunk, you
nothing.
know.
Yeah, we partied our asses off and we went home. I remember, I remember it was my birthday and she was with her boyfriend, and I got so trashed. If it wasn't for her, I'd probably been laying next to somebody that was like 300 pounds.
Yeah, so
Yeah, so
I don't know. People, that's people's own insecurities when they are worried about you being friends with the opposite sex, I think.
I think it's an insecurity issue.
That's what I just said. People's insecurities when they're jealous,
Oh, my bad. We're on
especially
the
if
same
not
wave.
being rude, especially let's just say I'm with a guy who rates himself on the looks front as like 5 out of 10, but my best friend Roy on the looks scale is 10 out of 10. That's when it starts to get a bit.
Oh yeah,
But that's in his mind, not mine.
yeah. I I look at it as, I don't know if, because I have a lot more female friends than I do male friends, and when I do talk to my female friends, I think women feel like, well, if you're in a relationship, well, you can't talk to me, like, you know what I mean? Why can't you tell me what's going on? And it's not the case. It's just she's my friend, and I know like she's gonna give me an honest whole answer without feelings involved. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Well,
She's my
they are
road.
feelings involved, but they're a different type of feelings. Like they're genuine care and concern for your well-being. They're not like, oh my God, I love you, you know.
Yeah, they love me as a friend, and that's about
Yeah,
it.
it's
You
a
know what I mean?
different type of
Because I
love.
got female friends that be like, "Ooh, I need to meet her," or "Next time you get married, we need to grill her. You need to bring her around." All that good stuff. You know what I mean?
Okay,
Or
so
you need to let
let
them
me
check
ask
them
you
out.
let me ask you a question then, excuse me. Say you found somebody who was getting married and your crew, your 5 guys, you were like, I'm gonna bring her around so that you can meet her, da 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 da. You was totally in love with this chick. You took her around to one of these cookouts. She meets your lads and they say to you, mate, we're not feeling her. We get a bad vibe. She's not a good one. What are you doing? Sticking or twisting?
I'm gonna still stick with her, but then until I see what they're talking about, because sometimes I take some time out to see what they're talking about, and sometimes they're right, and sometimes your mateys could be wrong.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? Um, that's how I look at that. I've had, man, I had a question for you. I just lost it. I
Same.
hate that. I had a question for you,
You should keep a
but
pen handy like me and then write it down.
no, the answer to that question though, no, I wouldn't just kick it to the curb because all five of my friends don't like her.
Yeah, and I
You know
do
what I
feel
mean?
like you have to A, trust your own judgment and B, learn from your own mistakes if it's going to turn out to be a mistake.
Yeah. Now I've have had situations where my female friends would be like, you sure you want to deal with her?" Like I would tell them like certain situations and in the past, and they'd be like, "I don't know, Rich. Like I don't know. I mean, you got to enter at your own risk." And then if it don't work, and I tell them, they be like, "Well, I wanted to tell you that, but that's not my place." You know what I mean?
Don't you find that a lot though? If you end a relationship, your friends 9 times out of 10 will always say, "Oh, we didn't like him anyway," or "Oh, we knew that would happen," you know. And you're like, "Okay, well, why didn't you
Yeah,
say
yeah,
anything at the time?" But at the time, 9 times out of 10, you don't listen anyway. You just
yeah. Because you're leaning on that love string.
exactly love makes you do silly things,
Love make you do some crazy
makes you
shit.
blind.
Hmm. Hmm. So now back onto the friends thing. Now, how do you handle betrayal of a friend?
Snip, snip, motherfudger.
So, would you ever give a friend a second chance?
Depending on the crime. I have done before, but I've realised as I've got older, I haven't got time for that. What is it they say? Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Why am I going to shame on myself? Snip, snip, motherfudger. And do you know what? Even if I've got to keep it 100 as always. Even if I did give them a second chance, so if anyone's had a second chance and they're listening, make sure you hear this. I'm still keeping sorry, are we keeping you up?
No, go ahead.
I'm still keeping up my guard, because if you've done something once, regardless of where it is on the scale,
yeah,
the dynamics changed in the friendship. Because if you've done something disrespectful, backstabbing, or anything negative, how true of a friend am I if you're going to do that to me in the first place? So already there's a black mark against your name. I'm not going to trust you as much as I did, if at all, before. I'm not going to tell you as much as I did, if anything, like before. So where we was talking about scales, best friend, friends, you're down the food chain now. So down you go.
I think the reason why I asked that question, because that I have to agree with you. That is true. It's like, okay, you give them a second chance, but then you don't look at it the same.
Mm-mm.
You don't look at them as the same. Like, you look at them like from out the corner of your eye, like, because they lost that trust.
And the other thing is, not just that. Say you've got a friend who tells you everything, blah, 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 and they've got another friend and they do the dirty to them. That then, I think, also changes the dynamic in your friend, because in your mind you're thinking, well, hold on a minute, if you can do that to them, what are you going to do to me? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. That was really well put. That was really, really well put.
Thank you. I do try sometimes. I know people think I've got a potty mouth, but
I have a potty mouth.
I know you've sworn a lot on today's show, to be fair.
Only twice.
Sorry, Fender. I know she doesn't like us swearing.
She doesn't like us swear. And
it
see,
wasn't
me and Fender
today.
go way back. Me, Fender, I got a laundry list of female friends that we are still friends to this day. They got kids, married, happily married, got boyfriends, and met boyfriend after boyfriend, or met hubbies, met kids. You know what I mean? I can be play uncle, that good stuff. And like you said, I also got friends that like I met recently in the recent years.
Mm-hmm.
I'm godparent to one of my closest friends that I used to work with. You know what I mean? So things like that happen when it comes to friendship and friends and associates.
Do you know what I think? I hate
and coworkers.
We haven't mentioned it. Sorry, something's stabbing me in the leg. We haven't mentioned it on the last couple of shows, but for sure, I think COVID, Corona, the lockdown, whatever you want to say.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so the whole COVID, Corona lockdown has definitely changed people's friendships, I think, because it would have made you realize who your genuine friends are. B, you didn't see your friends for a year, maybe longer, so friendships definitely would have evolved or changed or dispersed over this whole period of time.
I personally, because I'm considered essential, COVID didn't really change drastically for me.
Sorry, what did you say? You're considered what?
Emergency essential.
Oh, essential. Meaning, I thought you said sexual. Sorry.
Anywho.
Essential. So, oh my God, my cheeks.
So that being said, I can see the change in the dynamic of friendships, especially if you're on lockdown. I mean, most of my friends, some of them worked from home. A lot of us didn't, because a couple of my friends are firemen. So, and we worked every day through the whole pandemic.
Now, I'm going to give you a little.
My fellow coworkers that I work with now, we worked every day. There was no working from home. So,
and I'm going to give you a little example. Like the first week of the very first lockdown, so we're talking a year and a few months ago, March 2020. Remember, I'm a single parent, so it's just me and Alfie in this house, right? Can't see anybody else. I video called everybody that I classed as my best friends, really close friends. The first week, I video called everybody. Now I'm telling you, there are people since then I haven't spoke to since. Well, okay, just one person, but haven't spoke to since. And you know, when I think about it, I think to myself, I'm not saying it's all about me, but in this particular situation, I'm thinking to myself, you know, I'm a single parent, so I'm literally on my own with Alfie, and you never once even said, are you okay? Even though I took the time out to video call you at the beginning and be like, whoa, what's going on? This is crazy. Da, 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 da. She was like, okay, speak to you soon, this, that, or the other.
Wow.
Nothing. Now, before people get up on their Karen high horses and say, well, you could have contacted her, I did. After a few weeks or after a few months or whatever, I'd drop a message, hello. And even at the end, she'd be like, don't be a stranger. Okay, why don't you not be a stranger? Why do people always put it on the other person?
Yeah.
You know, I think to myself, didn't you think at any point, oh, let me just check if she's all right, because she might be going stir crazy just to.
Well, you know, everybody don't think like you.
I know they don't. And Fiona says to me all the time, so if that's your problem, you think people think like you and they don't.
Yeah,
and I'm just like, okay, well,
everybody don't have the same heart. You know, I do think sometimes that people think I'm too nice.
Me too. But I'm realizing as I get older, my big, massive, kind heart ain't got room for everybody. So
yeah, you want to turn into an ice box where my heart used to be.
no, it ain't about icebox. It's about, you know, like on your first show back, we was talking about self-love, self-care. It's about knowing your worth and who to make time for and who to make the effort for. It's going to be reciprocated. Why are you going to keep pouring into someone else's cup if they don't pour back into yours? Snip, snip.
Snip, snip, mother fudger. Well, now we're coming to a close of it. I really would love to hear from our fans and audience on friendship.
I would really love to hear from our friends. Let's not get twisted. I'd love to hear from anybody, but our friends can comment, whatever.
Yeah. And how they feel about loyalty, friendship, co-workers, associates, acquaintances, all that good jazz. I think this was a good one.
I'm going to ask you one final question.
Yes.
Do you consider yourself a good friend?
I consider myself an awesome friend. Do you consider yourself an awesome friend?
The absolute best.
Yeah.
You can tell me anything and there'll be no judgment. And I swear to God, I promise, regardless of whatever it is, all of my friends will vouch for this. I will give you advice sat on the wall. So even if it affects me personally or in a way, I can give you advice, unbiased, sat on the wall and say, listen, this is where I see it. You know, like from a bird's eye view, I can take me out of the equation.
Would you help me hide a body?
Yeah, man. Why not?
That's what I'm talking about.
I'll drive, you get the spade, we're done. But just bear in mind, I'm not very good at lifting. So if it's a heavy person.
See, this is why we say this is Soph.
This is Rich.
And we are.
Oh my God, I nearly dropped my phone in my cup. Yep.
Yep.